Hi, I'm Eric with FishStoresNearMe.com, and today I'll be walking you through how to set up a basic freshwater fish tank. Now before we get started, here's a list of the equipment that you'll need. If you're interested in the specific products that I recommend, there'll be links below for the products that I use. So before you set up the tank, you want to make sure that it's on furniture that can support the full weight of the tank. Water weighs roughly 8 pounds a gallon, so even a small tank like this, which is a 10-gallon tank, can weigh roughly 100 pounds when you add the gravel and the decorations and the water to it. So you want to make sure that it's on a sturdy furniture and in the final location, because you don't want to be moving the tank and risk it cracking and leaking. And since we're on the subject of tanks actually leaking, you want to also do what's called a leak test to the tank. Essentially, all you do is you fill the tank with water and leave it for around 24 to 48 hours, and just kind of check along the seams to make sure that there's no water leaking, because if you see water outside the tank, then you probably don't want to use this tank. So now that the fish tank's in the permanent location, you're ready to add the gravel. You want to make sure that it's thoroughly rinsed off, just like any decorations or the heaters and filters that you're going to be putting in the tank. You want to make sure that they're rinsed just with water. You don't want to use soap or any other type of cleaning products because those can leave residue and then eventually put harm to your fish or potentially even kill them. So just use regular water just to rinse it out, make sure there's no debris. And for the gravel, you probably want to do roughly about a pound per gallon if it's a standard size tank. So for this, roughly like 10 pounds of gravel should give you a pretty good base. So I already have rinsed the gravel in the bucket. And then you just want to kind of even out the gravel to give it a good look. And obviously the gravel, you can decide whatever color you want based on to match the other decorations or anything like that. So now that the gravel is all rinsed, you're ready to put different decorations that you want in the tank. These, as I mentioned before, should be rinsed as well. And you can arrange them however you want. This is just a pretty basic setup, so I'm not really too concerned with how it's going to look because, I mean, I'm not going to be keeping this tank either after it's all done. Just have a couple more things. And you want to also anchor any of the plants down just so they don't float up on you. You can usually just kind of push the gravel in between them just to make sure that they have enough rock so when you add the water, everything doesn't float up at the top. So now that the fish tank's set up with the decorations the way that you want them, next you just need to add the filter and the heater. So the filter, this is just a standard hang on the back filter. And then this is a submersible heater. Usually you want to set it before you actually put it in, it just makes it easier on you. You want to set the temperature to somewhere between 76 and 82 degrees. That's usually the range for most tropical fish. And also you want to place the heater close to the filter. That way it can disperse the hot water that's generated by the heater and it's not just making a pocket of hot water in the back. So you may have noticed that I've been setting up the whole tank and I haven't added any of the water yet. The reason is simply just because it's easier to move any of the decorations that you want around before you add the water, and that way your arms aren't getting all wet. But there's a simple trick to use to make sure that the water doesn't then go and just mess everything up that you've done. All you really need is just a simple plate. Turn it upside down and just kind of put it somewhere in the tank, and then when you pour the water in, you just pour it directly onto the plate. So I mean, as you can see, like the gravel isn't getting disturbed, none of the decorations are being moved around, and you just fill the tank. And then usually after the first 5 gallons or so, you can just remove the dish and then just fill the tank the rest of the way. You also want to make sure that you use a water conditioner in the water that you use in the tank. This just removes any of the harmful chemicals like chlorine and all the other stuff that's typically found in tap water. So what you can either add it to the buckets as you're adding the water or afterwards, and then just kind of let it circulate when you add the filter. So now you're ready to actually start the filter up. With these overhang filters, the ones that hang on the back, sometimes you'll have to prime the filter. All that means is you just take some of the tank water and you just pour it into the back of the tank, into the back of the filter rather. And then this just helps the filter start up when you're plugging it in, so it's not sucking in all the air. You'll still hear some of the air getting sucked in when you plug it in. I'll plug it in right now. So it should only take a few moments, and then you'll notice the water coming from the top of the tank, from the top of the filter, and at that point the filter's started. And now that the filter is running, you're ready to add the top of the tank and also the light. Generally, you can use the top that comes with the fish tank if you're just doing a basic one. For this demonstration, I just have a glass canopy. I like these just because you can kind of change out the lights if you want. And really the lid just prevents things from getting into the tank and fish from jumping out of the tank. And the lights, obviously it doesn't have to be as heavy duty as this one, but you do want to use a light. The light actually will help regulate the fish because, I mean, in nature they would be having lights. It wouldn't be, they would have the sun for the light. So you want to just put it on a timer so you don't have to worry about turning it on and off every day, and then you can just set it, and when it turns on, it turns on. So after 10 minutes or so, you can plug the heater in. You want to wait the 10 minutes just to make sure that the glass on the actual heater is the same temperature as the water, just to reduce the risk of it cracking. So now that you have the heater plugged in, the filter running, all the decorations and the gravel set up, the tank is at this point completely set up. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can just go and add fish right away. You want to wait for the tank to actually cycle. If you want to learn more about the cycle process, I'll include a link on this page. But generally it takes somewhere between 2 to 6 weeks before the tank is completely ready to actually add fish to it. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you found this helpful, and if you want to find out more tips and tricks on how to set up aquariums and care for the fish, then please join my mailing list.